we're back again with the two people that God absolutely led. So let's hear the journey further.
So it's my turn again.
Yes.
When the conference finished,
Mm,
um, we sat down together. We were like, okay, we need to pray about next steps because
mm.
we can't stay in the mountains beyond Monday. So this was Sunday afternoon,
Mm.
and our house is between 1 and 2 miles away from the main bombing.
Oh, wow, that's close.
Yeah,
Very
so
close.
and so we felt that the Lord had given us an assignment, at the prayer conference. We were praying about, big level stuff, and we were also just praying one on one for a variety of people. But we felt that that assignment was now done, and so we were just simply asking the Lord, okay, Lord, what do we do next?
What do you mean you knew the assignment was finished? How
Uh,
do you know assignment is finished?
well, in uh, previous, like in the weeks running up to the conference, obviously
Mm.
we've been planning it for quite a while, and then we started to face all of the escalation of violence in Lebanon. So each time we kept going to the Lord to pray, He had been highlighting that it was really important for us to have this conference and to gather God's people to pray. And so then when we were at the prayer conference, obviously we had the times to pray, and we mentioned how the leader of Hezbollah was ultimately assassinated. But in addition, other things came up which we had not expected and planned for. We'd had really good times of like personal one-on-one ministry to pray for people to get delivered from some things, and which obviously was a great highlight. So now we were finished with the conference.
Mm.
We were like, okay, we now understand why the conference needed to happen.
Okay.
But what is next?
Mm.
And now, from my personal perspective, just me by
Mm.
myself, it's like I could have stayed. It would have been difficult, but I think it would have been okay to stay.
Mm.
Um, but obviously, I have a wife and children,
Okay.
and I don't want to put them into unnecessary traumatic experience.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
yeah,
So
So
as a
we
as a head of the house, you took the responsibility that God placed on you and
yeah,
said you will. Okay. Good.
yeah. And
And
again, like previously, we really felt that it was important for us to surrender our will to the Lord. So even though there's this desire inside of me that, yeah, I want to stay, and obviously, want to keep praying about what's going on,
mm,
and also there's needs. I mean, there's people are now starting to be
mm,
internally displaced in the country. There's opportunities to help people, outreach to people that are unreached.
mm,
Lots of potential really good things that could happen in the
mm.
midst of a crisis.
Okay.
But we had to give that up to the Lord.
Okay.
Yeah, what do you can
Yeah, so we asked the Lord what to do, and
Mm.
we heard two words, go now. Our flights are from 12 days from today.
Okay.
You could like hire yachts that were going from Lebanon to
Mm-hmm.
Cyprus.
Okay.
But we felt like those journeys were highly traumatic and
Mm-hmm.
extremely expensive.
Okay. Phew.
And we were just like, Lord, how do we go? And we'd always had a backup plan that everybody told us would never work, and that was to go through Syria. So you flee war through war to get out of war.
Sure. Okay. A backup plan that's not the safest. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. So this was always like for the last 2 years, it had been our evacuation plan was when all things went bad, we would go to Syria. And we were like, Lord, we don't have permission to enter the country.
Okay.
We could get to the border, the Syrian border,
Mm.
and be denied entrance. But we
Okay.
just knew that the Lord was saying, you go and I'll open the door.
What's interesting about this is you didn't just live in the country, you always had plans ahead. And that's good because many people just run around, but you still had a plan even though you were in a war country.
Yes.
Yeah, and our organization requires us to have, crisis management plans,
Okay.
think about what the potential risks, and the things that you plan for are the things that are likely to happen. And
Mm.
unfortunately, Lebanon is one of those places where it's likely that there'll be an escalation of war. And so
Okay.
you need to have a plan. And yeah, like we mentioned, there's not many options to evacuate if the
Mm,
airport is not operating. The airport
mm.
was operating, but the problem was is that all the flights were booked up
Booked.
for almost 2 weeks.
Okay.
Um,
God said, go now. What now?
yeah.
What did you do?
Yeah, so we were like, okay, what's now? And we
Mm,
felt that we were supposed to stay one more night in the mountains,
okay.
mostly so that the kids could have some extra time with their friends.
Okay.
And then we would head down to Beirut on Monday morning,
Mm.
pack up, and we would get in a taxi to go to Syria Tuesday morning.
Mm.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I regularly go to Syria, and so I kind of
Mm.
know the route, and
Okay.
we used to live there a long time ago. So we contacted a driver,
Mm.
and yeah, arranged for him to come. So then the plan was that he would come the next morning, like
Mm.
early in the morning, and then
Yes.
off we would go.
Yes. So
Okay.
he would come Tuesday morning. So
So from the
Monday,
mountains, you've gone down safely back home.
so Monday morning we get up and I'm feeling stressed because we're
Okay.
headed home.
Mm.
But Israel has been bombing Beirut nonstop.
Wow.
And
Okay.
we know we need to go pack up and we know we need to secure the apartment. But I'm
Were
like,
you sure that your apartment was still standing?
yes, we lived in a Christian neighborhood that
Okay.
didn't have any Hezbollah operatives in it. So we knew that our
Okay.
neighborhood was safe, but we were very aware of like we would feel and hear everything.
Yeah,
Okay.
like the biggest thing, to be honest, that is very stressful is whenever the jets fly by and they do these like sonic booms and so on. So
Okay.
you can hear things in the distance,
Mm,
but it's
mm,
very
mm.
close because it's literally only a mile or two away.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
So we got in the car, prepared the kids. Like it could be a very loud, like
Mm.
literally shaky day. The apartment may be shaking all day. But we're just going to go and we're going to do this. And then we're going to go to the border.
Okay.
So we came up over the peak of the mountain. Israel was aggressively bombing.
Mm.
As we came over where we could now see Beirut,
Mm.
not a jet in the sky. Israel held fire.
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
so we got back
That's
and it was
massive.
quiet. Yeah.
Wow. God's hand is so good.
Hmm. Yeah, because really, I'd say like for us, the big concern was, for our children. Obviously,
Mm.
this is their home. Our children have always lived in the Middle East,
Mm. Mm.
and so and of course, we didn't know that if we evacuate, we didn't know are we then going to come back.
Mm.
Like
Mm.
we felt that we needed to have to be willing to surrender all options on the table. So that could be coming back or never coming back, delaying significantly. And so obviously, either way, our desire was that as a family, we would leave kind of, in a way, kind of in our own terms, where it's like,
Mm.
although, yes, it was difficult because of the escalation of war, but at the same time, it's like we leave with a good memory of Lebanon in our hearts.
Mm.
And our children in the future can speak fondly of
Mm.
whenever they lived in Lebanon.
So we arrived home at 10 a.m.
Mm.
and began to pack up with the plan
Mm.
to be leaving at 7 a.m. the next morning. And
Okay.
that whole day, not a single drone, not a single jet,
Oh,
not a single bomb. And
wow.
we
You
packed
guys
up,
know how to pray.
we packed up and we just had a really normal day at home. And we even went to our favorite restaurant and had burgers and it
Wow.
just felt very surreal. And that night we were in contact with the driver and he
Mm.
called just before kids went to sleep. So it's 11 p.m. And he said, I want to be picking you up at 3 a.m. Is that okay?
Wow.
And we've
Okay.
been wrestling all day. Like, do we get him to go through the valley crossing? Do we go to the north crossing? What time do we leave? And
Mm.
we just got to a point where we were just like, Lord, give this driver wisdom. May he know what time to get us and may he know which border to take us to.
That word surrender was so important to you. You've
Yeah.
surrendered literally everything.
Mhm. So he called at 11 p.m. He said he wanted to come at 3 a.m.
Mm.
My husband and the kids go to sleep.
Okay.
And within moments of them falling asleep, the jets come over the city. And
Wow.
I sat on our balcony for the next 4 hours with the
Sure.
building shaking and just bomb after bomb after bomb.
And they're sleeping.
And they're sleeping. Why did I have to be the one awake? And
Oh.
I opened the news and I saw that Damascus was also being bombed. And
Mm-hmm.
I sat on that balcony and I just prayed. I'm like, Lord, this man has gone through 13 years of war.
Yo.
Get him into Beirut, please, to get us out.
Mm.
Wow. And God
And
answered your prayers.
yeah, so at 3 a.m., he called. He said he would be there in 10 to 15 minutes. There's a
Sure.
bomb falling as we're on the phone with him. I go and wake the kids up and my husband,
Okay.
and the minute they wake up, there's no more jets, there's no more bombs.
That's unfair.
It's nice though.
Yes, but that's beautiful. The
Yeah, and
peace.
so then we start our journey, and we're going up the mountain. So you have to go up a mountain, like it's called the Lebanon Mountain, uh,
Mm-mm.
and we then start to
Just
experience.
before you go there, how much did you
Yeah,
pack at that moment?
we well,
Well, we had 4 bags, 2 with clothing, 2 with our homeschooling books, and we had my husband's guitar.
Okay, at least you've got the music. Okay, you were
Yes.
going
yeah.
up. You need
So
the music, the sound, communication.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So
And
then
then we also had a big bag of food because we were expecting to be sitting on the Syrian border for potentially 24 hours waiting for permission to get into Damascus.
Food that you prepared.
Yeah, so we had our apartment stocked up in case we
Okay.
had to hunker down. So I had a freezer full of food, which I passed on to some Syrian refugee friends, but I was so embarrassed by
Mm.
how much meat I had that I just cooked up a good South African meat feast. And we had roasted chicken breasts and kebabs, and we just had a big bag of meat.
That I will join you then. With me, I will join you. So
yeah,
you had good food. You were on your way. What
yeah,
happened?
on our way, and as we're starting to get to a particular location on the mountain, like where it's kind of one of the higher points of it, the
Mm.
car that we were in started to overheat. Um,
Mm-mm.
and I mean, it was a good car. There was kind of no real
Mm.
reason for why it would overheat. But then as we're in it, obviously we're praying just generally, for things to be okay. But
Mm.
then I realized that actually this was the exact same location that on a previous trip that I'd gone to go to Syria, the car had overheated. And so then I was like,
Interesting.
so I'm sitting there going, it's like, is there like
An
uh,
overheating
an
spirit.
an overheating evil spirit. And
Okay.
so so we prayed, we took authority
Yeah.
for that thing to go away, and then continued on our journey, and then eventually once we got kind of from the peak of the mountain, working our way down,
Mm.
everything was okay. We got to the border, and the
But
car was fine.
but also as we came over the mountain, so the like Beirut is no longer in view. As we
Okay.
went down the other side into the valley towards the
Mm.
border,
Mm.
Israel began to bomb Beirut again.
Hmm.
So
So the
you left
kids,
in total peace.
yes,
Yeah.
and all the waking hours of the kids and of my husband, they did not experience or hear any of the bombing.
Mm.
Wow, wow. And did you decide to go through Damascus or did you decide to go through the mountains? What route did he took you?
Yeah. So then the route was the one that would take us to Damascus. So
Okay.
yeah. So then anyway, we get to the border,
Mm.
and of course, we're expecting to be there for a long time. We've got all our meat ready.
Oh,
And
love it.
yeah, our driver had a really good time as we were handing him sandwiches. But yeah, we get to the border, and once we got to the Syrian side of the border, it was actually a pretty smooth process.
Wokai,
It's
Wokai, Wokai. How long? You said you were expecting 24 hours.
Yeah.
How long did it
yeah.
take you through that border?
So within 2 hours, my husband and the kids had permission to enter, but I did not yet have permission.
Oh no, you've heard all the bombing and now you have to stay behind.
Yeah.
Now I have to be left behind.
Yeah.
So we were feeling quite stressed or I was at least. But we were just like, we're going to keep praying that my permission comes through. And about 45 minutes later, my permission came through. So we were on the border approximately 3 hours and then headed into Damascus.
You guys know how to pray. Wow, it's beautiful how these people know to pray and open the road. God was with them all the time. Next week, we're going to go on to hear what happens in their lives.